こんにちは。今日は5月26日です。火曜日です。Today is Tuesday, May 26th. Tonight at 7 p.m. is the virtual Seniors Honor Ceremony. And tomorrow at 7 p.m. is the virtual graduation ceremony for seniors graduating 2020. So we broadcast on www.jhawks.com/live. That's www.j-hawks.com/live. Again, that's today, virtual Seniors Honor Ceremony at 7 p.m. and tomorrow, the virtual graduation ceremony. Seniors will be dropping off any last items they have this week when they pick up their diploma, certificates, and other graduation items. This will be on Thursday, May 28th between 1 and 4 p.m. 9th, 10th, and 11th graders will be able to return library books and any textbooks Thursday, May 28th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. in front of the UHS library in Drive Up Fashion. Chromebooks will be turned in at a later date. Student Senate is still accepting applications through June 1st. So if you're interested in being on Student Senate next year, you want to get those applications in. Urbandale Food Pantry is open from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 2 to 5 p.m. on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Grab-and-go meals are available at 6 locations throughout Urbandale. Those are Timberland and Meredith from 11 to 11:20, Bristol Ridge from 11:30 to 11:50, Cross Creek from 12 to 12:30, and the elementary schools, Jensen Elementary from 11 to 11:20, Karen Acres from 11:30 to 11:50, and Valerius from 12 to 12:30. Birthdays. For Tuesday, May 26th, James Fisher, Gabriel Kraft, Alexander Fry, and Mr. Hammerand. Happy birthday to you. Okay, today I'm going to be reading to you from this book called Smarter, Faster, and Better by Charles Duhigg, who also wrote The Power of Habit, which I think I read to you before. Find my spot here. Zira's failings in the run-up to the Yom Kippur War illustrate one final lesson regarding how goals function and influence our psychology. He, in fact, was using both stretch and smart goals when he convinced the nation's leaders to ignore obvious signs of war. He had clear and grand ambitions to end the cycle of anxiety plaguing Israelis. He knew that his big aim was to stop the endless debates and second-guessing. And his methods for breaking those larger goals into smaller pieces involved finding proximal goals that were specific, measurable, achievable, and realistic, and that occurred according to a timeline. He remade his agency in a deliberate, step-by-step manner. He did everything that psychologists like Latham and Locke have said we ought to do in order to achieve both big and small goals. Yet Zira's craving for closure and his intolerance for revisiting questions once they were answered are among the biggest reasons why Israel failed to anticipate the attacks. Zira is an example of how stretch and smart goals on their own sometimes aren't enough. In addition to having audacious ambitions and plans that are thorough, we still need, occasionally, to step outside the day-to-day and consider if we're moving towards goals that make sense. We still need to think. On October 6, 2013, the 40th anniversary of the Yom Kippur War, Eli Zira addressed an audience of national security scholars in Tel Aviv. He was 85 years old, and his gait was a bit unsteady as he walked onto the stage. He spoke haltingly from handwritten notes. He had come to defend himself, he said. Mistakes had been made, but not just by him. Everyone had learned they needed to be more careful and less certain. They were all to blame. A former colleague in the audience began heckling him. "You are telling us fairy tales," the man shouted. "You are lying." "This is not a field court-martial," Zira replied. "The war was not his fault alone," he said. No one had been willing to stare the most terrifying possibility, a full-scale invasion, in the face. But then, in a moment of reflection, Zira conceded that he had made an error. He had ignored the seemingly impossible. He hadn't thought through all the alternatives as deeply as he should. "I usually had a note in my pocket," he told the audience. And on that little note it said, "And if not?" The note was a talisman, a reminder that the desire to get something done, to be decisive, can also be a weakness. The note was supposed to prompt him to ask bigger questions. But in the days before the Yom Kippur War, quote, "I didn't read that little note," Zira said. "That was my mistake." All right, and that is from Smarter, Faster, and Bigger. Have a great day, UHS.